Well, regarding the the new Café Tacuba, it was recorded, and see, I'm putting a copy, of water over here. Just telling you, it was recorded. Yeah, what they decided to do was record it live in front of an audience, but you don't hear the audience. The audience is just there. A couple of peeps that we know got the opportunity to go, and they didn't invite us last year. It was just very VIP, and I guess we're not VIP enough. They recorded in Buenos Aires, Mexico City, Chile, and LA. And basically they work out these different songs, and so they play them, and I'm sure they got like the best takes from each of these 4 sessions. And they had a crowd, so they could see how the crowd was reacting to each song. But you never hear the crowd, because the crowd was advised not to clap, not to make any noise, So they were just kind of like silent. So I think that has a whole different warmth to the CD, and to the CD. Check this out, to the album, and I think that I want to say, like the last 4 or 5 albums of Café was one of those things that you listen to them and you're like, this sounds like our shit, And then you have to listen to it like a couple times for the songs to kind of like sink in, for you to start liking them or getting a groove. And there's one, Olita del Tamal, that sounds a lot like, their old stuff, especially because it doesn't have an actual drummer. And so I think it's a really, really solid album, I would say. And if nothing else, if they were to be like, okay, we're peacing out after this, I think that they'll be okay with it, because it's too soon to tell if it's their best work or not. I don't think it's their most emblematic, because the most emblematic would always be Red. But I think that this one definitely captures, like their maturity as musicians, and the fact that they kind of like push their sound to sound not like Café Tacuba, but also sound really, really solid. And also one thing that, like maybe they addressing, like this whole thing of not being a conventional band. The singer, Ruben, is no longer singing. I mean, these guys happen in different albums, but now it's like, it takes, like you listen to 3 or 4 songs before you actually listen to him as the main voice. I mean, like you have Meme singing, you have Ocello singing, even the bassist singing, Kike.
That's why he was mad.
Yeah, Kike. He's also singing, so all of them are distributing these singing duties, and so doesn't feel like that Café Tacuba of, like it's that guy. And I'm sure on live, he will always have, like the frontman role, but definitely it's an album, like just play it a couple times before you decide to move on. And I think that that's one of the things with Café Tacuba, is just that they have this audience that it's like a core audience that will always listen to them because of the vintage old Café Tacuba. And then the new audience that, have come along, like, and really dig their new work. I like all their stuff, but I have to say, like, because I was younger and there was a point in time that, yes, like, those first albums were really cool. The older albums are really, really, actually, like, they're really atmospheric, I want to say. Like, so you listen to them and it takes you a while, but you find something new every time, like you listen to them, and they're so recorded, like the layers of sound and like the sound design, and I so far, like I'm really, like it's one of those albums that I just pop in, and it's none of the songs crash, and there's none of the songs that are like I want to skip it. Like the more I listen to it, and also the lyrics are really well developed. They're like stories unto themselves. So I am very proud of them that like there's one more album. We'll see what happens. The only big complaint I want to say is that the more they develop this kind of like music, I mean obviously their stories are no longer like the everyday man stories. Right. They're not like that kind of stories anymore. And the big complaint is that the artwork of the album, even though if you get it on iTunes, because there's no Ritmo Latino anymore, so it's a non-issue. I mean, like the artwork is just like 4 or 5 different images that have nothing to do with each other, like really abstract kind of contemporary type of art, and it doesn't tell me anything. So then again, I guess they're just kind of like, yeah, no one's gonna look at this, so whatever. I don't know. What have you heard? What's your take on?
No, I mean I haven't heard. Like I told you, I haven't heard anything. I didn't know. I didn't remember the title until you told me. So I'm actually gonna check it out soon because I felt like I don't know, man. Sometimes there's albums when they come when you hear that something's coming out. In my head, I just feel like I'm not ready for an album or like a band. No, like like just there's like certain moods you go through sometimes, or like I'll go through a mood where I like listen to hip hop like for 6 months straight, and then I don't listen to any rock, or and it just depends. I mean, sometimes it's 1 month or whatever, and when I know that some music's coming out, I'm like, I'm gonna wait. Like I still haven't heard Radiohead, King of Limbs, like that one. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm still not ready. I'm not prepared to take that in. So, yes, I'm gonna check it out now. I think I'm ready. Now that you've
I gotcha. Yeah, like in San Diego, actually, I listen to a lot of reggae for some reason. Like like Latin American reggae, like Los Pericos, Cultura Profética, Godwana, Anti-Doping, and it's just kind of like the mood. I mean, and it's not like music that I really listen to. It's just like I have them on my library. Somebody has given them to me. Somebody I don't know, and like they, whatever. I have fired them somewhere, and so and sometimes you're not in that mood, and I think that the driving between LA and San Diego sometimes it lends itself to kind of like road albums, kind of Babasonic, or some of them are like that. So and I could give a little plug into Carolo, which is the B-side of Jessico. I did listen to Trini albums, and that was Carolo. And it's just like the B-sides of Jessico, like they're, groundbreaking. That was or like at least, like the watershed type of work. And it's great that they put it out, but honestly, it's just a B-side album. So, you listen to it, but not, I mean, there's like 3 songs that make the cut. The other ones are kind of like...
You can see why they were left.
Yeah, you can definitely see like, that's why. So, how about you?
Actually, now you're talking about, this concept of the album. One of the albums, I just listened to it this last maybe like 2 weeks, and this dude, Cody Chestnut, I don't know if you've heard of him, but my brother, Cody Chestnut, came out with an album about 10 years ago. It's called The Headphone Masterpiece. It was just, I guess, stuff that he recorded on a 4-track at home. It was very lo-fi, the quality wasn't the best. The songs were there. I mean, you kind of, that's what I always tell people, sometimes, when you watch something on YouTube, the quality may not be great, but if it's a good story or a good song, it'll come through. So, that album back in the day, my brother, burned me a copy, and ever since then, I was into that dude, but I guess, he had, a kind of tough time in LA trying to get his band going, and I don't know his whole story, but when that came out, there was a lot of hype around him. He did a song with The Roots, the C 2.0 that did well enough. He came out in Dave Chappelle's Block Party, so there was kind of this anticipation that he would kind of come out with a new album with a full band, good, not good quality, but just studio quality sound, and it didn't really happen until this year when he actually, I guess he started a Kickstarter project, got money, he raised funds, and he put the album out. And then my brother was basically he's kind of been I don't want to say my music drug dealer, but he's kind of because I feel the last 4 or 5 years I've been completely disconnected to what's new and what's cool or whatever, and I kind of don't care. I think we talked about this before. So he's kind of that dude. When I talk to him, it's I got this new, this is almost like a sushi chef, this is what's good right now, try this, and so he gave me that album, and I listened to it, and it's, I think some people might be turned off if they listen to it, because it has a really old school, soul, Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye kind of feel to it, and I think people might be a little bit burned out on that kind of stuff since you know, Amy Winehouse, like Adele, all this kind of like
Yeah.
quote unquote retro stuff that's been coming out. I think they might be a little bit skeptical about it, but if you listen to it, I feel like if you listen to the lyrics, you listen to it from first song to the last song, it's like super cohesive. Like I feel like the sequence of the songs, it's a good album, even though, you know, we're in 2012, people don't care about that. But I think that's the reason I maybe like the fact that it has that throwback sound, is because he's kind of saying like, look, this is what we used to do, and we're kind of getting away from it. So let me kind of go back to it and show you what, you know, what we're capable of. There's a lot of like social messages in there. I don't want to get too into it, but I mean, I think if you listen to the lyrics, you hear the music, all that stuff, you'll see that as you hear it, it kind of makes sense. It's not just like, let's make it sound retro for the fact of being retro, you know, just to like, you know, get people feeling nostalgic. It actually fits the concept. So, I think we're both gonna play some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's another album I think you're talking about.
Yes, but yeah, like I think that we can do it real quick, cause not to bore our thousands of listeners out there.
Yeah, we're not boring them. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. And let me tell you, yeah. Well, actually, the new Hello Seahorse is called Arugula. No, I'm just kidding. Arumina, I want to say. And it's not like I can speak Spanish, obviously. It's just like I'm dyslexic that way. I think it's Arumina. And really, yeah, like, Hello Seahorse is like this band that has really, really taken a longer road to try to get that sound that they wanted. And in this album, I think they're getting close to it. They're definitely, I hear it. It's one of those, yeah, like, it's still not, the whole album doesn't convince me, but, yeah, like, I don't want to skip. And I think that, yeah, like, Love London, I don't know if she's going to be called Love London, you know, because she's growing up, and, she's a grown-up woman, and now I think it's Denise Gutierrez. She's learning the limits of her voice, but I mean, because like she's got a great like opera voice, but then like for this kind of songs, like I think that she's like holding back in some, like, but like it's a really, really good album. I think I'm digging it. But it's an album that is not an album. I mean, like it's just like a disparative, like songs that, I mean, definitely not a concept album,
Right.
But I do think that they just kind of like went, like a couple notches, and especially because like the last two albums, which are the albums that kind of like brought them to the fore. They had like 3-4 solid songs. After that, it was just like filler, like maybe they didn't think it was filler, but
I don't think that's. I always think about that too. I'm like, sometimes I wonder, like, man, do they know this is like filler, or is I don't think they know it's filler. I mean, I feel like every band, when they put, I hope, when they put something out, they feel like this song is the shit.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but it's.
But it's filler.
It's filler, exactly. They have a lot of filler.
Called it.
Yes, and like also the trajectory that they have gone. Like from being this cutie indie type of band, with a Czech singing, excuse my non-PC language, and I think that was kind of like their hook for a while, and then they sang in English in Mexico City, but they had a really good video from Say Anything, I think. I forget the name, but I mean, you can Google it, or I'll just put it here on YouTube. Like the YouTube link of that video, and it was really amazing because it's all in English, but then they filmed it in Mexico, like La Condesa or like Narvarte, and then they go to El Campo, So it was very chilango in ways, but then they're all singing in English, and it's like this really happy-go-lucky song, and so I think that like that. Progression. I think that they did good. I like that more than like other stuff that it's going on right now, and so
Speaking of that, so we're on the singing in English. What do you did you listen to Jimena Sariñana?
Her Echo Park,
Echo Park song, and
that she lives in East Los Angeles. Cause,
I heard her say she was performing, and she was like, "Yeah, I wrote the song." I guess it was about like falling in love with some dude in Echo Park. I guess after she broke up with Omar Rodriguez Lopez.
Oh, I know you? Okay.
Yeah. And she was just like, I wrote the song Echo Park, and I live in East LA, and we're like, dude, East LA, come on, man. I don't know, it was just like so weird to have her little
perpetuate
the
the hipster misconception that the East Side starts in Fairfax.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't. So have you heard her new stuff in English?
I've heard some of the stuff in English, and I'm not, like I told you before, with Vaquero, I think, or some of those bands where it was like, I feel like I don't know, like they don't express themselves as well. Even, this is a weird example for some people I know, because it's like pop music with Shakira. Mm-hmm. If you hear her lyrics in English, like when you really listen to them, it just feels like she translated them, and they just don't really fit the way they would. Like if you listen to them in Spanish, you'd be like, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. But then when you hear it in English, it's like this weird pop song has like these weird references that, whatever, and I feel like sometimes that happens with those type of artists where they either make like weird references or just they don't express themselves as well as they would when they're singing their, I guess, first language or.
Yeah, it's always been that. It's always been bad, and I think that their intentions are, like they are trying to, like cross over, and good luck with that, honestly, because it really doesn't happen. I mean, like. For Porter, who's coming back, and they're coming back finally, it was just like their songs in English. It was just like, I would play it to other people because they're like, oh, well, it's in English, maybe you'll get into it, And it was just like, they were like, oh. Like, first of all, sometimes they had trouble understanding it because of the cadence. It wasn't, like, and two, like, their terms, I mean, like, it was just like, those little things that
nuances in the language that
it just,
you can tell. It's just like sometimes me, like I like Spanish I'm not great at Spanish, so sometimes if you try to like say a joke that you would in English and try to say it in Spanish, it's like doesn't really come off the same way. You look like a dumbass. Happens very often with me.
It happens very often with me in English. So and with Porter, and then one song trying to do this album almost all in English, which is bad. And who does that a lot? All the Spanish bands, the Spanish from Spain. There's like a legion of those bands, like Dover. I just heard this one weird standard, their funk, and it's just like all in English, and it's like, it's great that you have fans in Spain and maybe other parts of Europe. But it never really happens, and it's just because I don't think the essence is there.
Right.
And with Jimena, I think that it was more of a marketable move, like, she's dating Omar. But then, they broke off. And then, I don't think that she ever, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. But anyways, I think that with that, we're gonna close it.
I mean, there was another album that I was going to talk about.
Oh, please, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Sorry.
No, there was another one that I got into called, and people are going to make fun of me for this one, but if they even look it up. But it's some band called the Ice Choir, and it just consists of this one guy who was in this other band called the Depreciation Guild, which is like a, I don't know, like a shoegaze / like chiptune kind of band. I don't know if you've heard, but it's almost like, My Bloody Valentine or Slow Dive meets like, Nintendo music. Literally, like they have like just, chiptunes in the background. Well, at least their first album. The second album kind of toys with it, but not really. But this dude, I guess, I felt like those two albums from that band Appreciation Girl are really good. And once again, I have to thank my sushi chef / drug dealer. Not literally a drug dealer, music dealer, I would call him. My brother for also recommending that band. And I felt like those two albums were really good. I mean, some people have a problem with, the whole, bringing back, shoegaze or whatever. But he came out with a new album, and the band's called the Ice Choir, and it sounds like completely 80s. Like, I don't mean like sort of 80s. Like, if you listen to it, I'll play one of the songs maybe. But if you listen to it, it like sounds completely 80s. And I kind of struggled with it because I felt like it was kind of unfair, because it's easy to, after the fact, make like a good 80s song, because what, it's like, now you have like, 20 years to look at and say, okay, I'm going to cherry pick this, and this, and that's what made something good. And then just like kind of refine it and make it into this like good music. Maybe it isn't that easy, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm like veering off into this weird territory, but I feel like the songs are good. Like they're good songs, and I just feel like I think they're good, and I want to give the dude a pass to a certain extent because it's like the songs are good, the sounds are really old school, but there's a point to where I feel like it's never gonna be like my favorite album, or it's never gonna get to a certain level because it does sound so retro, which is kind of contradicting what I was saying about Cody Chestnut. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I want to talk about those two albums, because I feel like the Cody Chestnut, that one feels right to me. Like that one, it doesn't feel like it's just like, let me just sound like the 60s and 70s
mm-hmm.
or whatever. But this Ice Choir one, I'll let you hear it, and you're gonna be like, even people that have heard me listening to it, they're like, what the fuck is this? You know? So, but the one thing I will say that I want to give it a pass is because I feel like the guy went into it like sincerely trying to make like a good song, and it wasn't like this kind of jokey, like, hey, look, I'm making 80 songs, like, you know, or Chromeo doing like that kind of retro thing where it's like kind of jokey and not all the way there. You know, like even LMFAO, which is kind of a fun band, but like they're kind of, I know they don't do retro music, but they kind of have like
very in a kitschy type of way. Yeah.
And I feel like at least I'd give this dude credit because he's going all the way with it. There's no like, you know, tongue in cheek. There's no, it's like all the way with it. So I'll let you hear it and make a decision. I don't know if
I think
went up into the mountains.
Man, yeah, those are deep analysis of these two albums. I was just like, yeah, Café Tacuba, and then I listened to Los Hijos, and that was that. And I really I cannot bring them as in academic same conversation with each other. Like I cannot say Café Tacuba and Los Hijos, they're, you know, how they're related at all. So you took that one. Yeah. And also hearing your sushi chef, man, we in academia, we don't make that kind of cash to sushi. So yeah, I'm glad that you're doing well, you know. So,
no, I mean, I've never gotten a sushi chef and asked him like what's good. I'm not at that level yet. I don't spend that kind of dough on it, but I just sit at a table and like.
And you see the pros, you're like, this guy's done, right?
Yeah. I'm like, let them deal with all the eels and all other stuff. I'm just doing my spicy tuna roll. And
well, we can do that with taquero. Hey, how's the suadero here? Like how was the vaquita, you know, kind of thing. So, yeah. Well, I do that, you know, because I don't eat meat. So it's like, yeah, what do you have that you can make, you know? So, yeah. Anyways, on our fourth segment, we're going to be talking about, you know, the local teams and also who might or might not come to the Galaxy, and which Mexican players we're going to see in Europe and which are...
Not gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna be watching European games on their TVs. Okay.